A delicate dance. Understanding U.S. North Korea relations. The relationship between the United States and North Korea is complicated. It's like trying to have a conversation with someone who only speaks in threats and missile tests. There are no easy answers, and the stakes are incredibly high. The two countries have been technically at war for over 70 years. That's right, there's never been a formal peace treaty to end the Korean War. Instead, there's been a tense armistice, a lot of mistrust, and the constant threat of nuclear conflict. It's a relationship defined by suspicion, propaganda, and the occasional flicker of hope. Understanding this complex history is crucial to navigating the present and future of this volatile standoff. So, buckle up, because we're about to dive into one of the most important and unpredictable relationships on the planet. A peninsula divided, setting the stage for conflict. To understand the U.S. North Korea situation, we need to rewind to the end of World War II. Korea, once under Japanese rule, was divided along the 38th parallel. The Soviet Union backed the North, while the United States supported the South. Two separate states emerged: Communist North Korea, led by the enigmatic Kim Il-sung, and the US-backed South Korea. It was a recipe for disaster. In 1950, tensions boiled over into the Korean War. North Korean troops, backed by China and the Soviet Union, invaded the South. The United States, along with UN forces, intervened to defend South Korea. The war raged for 3 brutal years, leaving millions dead and the peninsula in ruins. The fighting ended in 1953 with an armistice, but no peace treaty was ever signed. The Korean peninsula remained divided, a stark symbol of the Cold War's global reach. The Cold War chill. Nuclear ambitions and global tensions. The Cold War cast a long shadow over the Korean peninsula. North Korea, feeling isolated and threatened by the United States, embarked on a path of military buildup. They saw nuclear weapons as the ultimate deterrent, a way to ensure their survival against a perceived American threat. In the 1960s, North Korea began developing its nuclear program. They built the Yongbyon Nuclear Scientific Research Center, a sprawling complex that would become the heart of their nuclear ambitions. The international community, alarmed by North Korea's nuclear aspirations, sought to curb its ambitions. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT, was signed in 1968, aiming to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons. North Korea initially joined the NPT, but later withdrew in 2003. The Cold War may have ended, but its legacy continued to shape the dynamics on the Korean peninsula. North Korea's pursuit of nuclear weapons became a major source of tension and a defining feature of its relationship with the United States. On the razor's edge, from crisis to tentative diplomacy. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 had a profound impact on North Korea. They lost a major ally and source of economic support, leaving them isolated and vulnerable. The 1990s were a time of economic hardship and political uncertainty for the reclusive nation. In 1994, tensions spiked when North Korea threatened to withdraw from the NPT amid suspicions that they were developing nuclear weapons. Former US President Jimmy Carter, in a remarkable diplomatic effort, traveled to Pyongyang to meet with Kim Il-sung, North Korea's founder. Carter's visit paved the way for the agreed framework, a deal aimed at freezing North Korea's nuclear program in exchange for economic aid and diplomatic engagement. It was a moment of cautious optimism, a glimmer of hope that a peaceful resolution could be found. The agreed framework, however, proved fragile. Mistrust lingered on both sides, and the agreement ultimately collapsed in 2002 amid accusations of North Korean cheating and a lack of US commitment. The cycle of tension and confrontation resumed. Section 5. A new millennium. A familiar standoff. Nuclear tests and diplomatic gambits. The 21st century began with a familiar pattern of confrontation and negotiation. North Korea continued to develop its nuclear program, conducting its first nuclear test in 2006, a move that drew international condemnation. In an attempt to find a diplomatic solution, the six-party talks were initiated in 2003. These talks brought together North Korea, South Korea, the United States, China, Japan, and Russia to address the nuclear crisis. The talks, however, were marked by periods of progress and setbacks, ultimately failing to achieve a lasting breakthrough. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, North Korea conducted a series of nuclear and missile tests, each one raising tensions and prompting international sanctions. The world watched with bated breath as the isolated nation edged closer to becoming a fully fledged nuclear power. Section 6. Trump and Kim, a reality show summit. The election of Donald Trump as U.S. President in 2016 ushered in a new and unpredictable chapter in U.S. North Korea relations. Trump's unconventional approach to diplomacy, characterized by personal insults and Twitter diplomacy, initially heightened tensions. However, in a stunning turn of events, Trump agreed to meet with Kim Jong-un, North Korea's leader, in 2018. The summit, held in Singapore, was the first ever meeting between a sitting U.S. president and a North Korean leader. The summit generated global headlines and a mix of hope and skepticism. Trump and Kim signed a vaguely worded agreement, pledging to work towards the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula and improve relations. However, the agreement lacked concrete details and mechanisms for implementation. A second summit, held in Vietnam in 2019, ended abruptly without a deal. Trump walked away, stating that North Korea's demands for sanctions relief were too extensive. The diplomatic opening, once hailed as a historic breakthrough, seemed to fizzle out. Section 7. Biden's challenge: navigating the North Korean puzzle. Joe Biden assumed the presidency in 2021, inheriting the complex and challenging relationship with North Korea. Biden, who had criticized Trump's approach to North Korea, pledged to pursue a more calibrated and principled approach. The Biden administration conducted a review of U.S. policy towards North Korea, seeking to find a path towards denuclearization while also addressing the humanitarian situation in the country. However, North Korea has shown little interest in engaging in meaningful dialogue. North Korea has continued to advance its nuclear and missile programs under Biden's watch, conducting a series of missile tests in 2022 and 2023. These tests have been met with condemnation from the international community and further sanctions. The Biden administration faces the daunting task of trying to contain North Korea's nuclear ambitions while also seeking to prevent a catastrophic conflict. It's a delicate balancing act with no easy solutions. Section 8. The shadow of the bomb. North Korea's nuclear threat. North Korea's nuclear weapons program poses a significant threat to regional and global security. The country is estimated to possess dozens of nuclear warheads and is developing increasingly sophisticated delivery systems, including intercontinental ballistic missiles or ICBMs. North Korea's nuclear arsenal is a major source of instability in Northeast Asia. The country has a history of provocative actions and bellicose rhetoric, raising concerns that it could miscalculate or be drawn into a conflict. The threat of nuclear terrorism is another concern. North Korea has a history of illicit activities, including the sale of weapons technology, raising fears that it could sell nuclear material or technology to terrorist groups or other rogue actors. The international community has a vital interest in preventing North Korea from further developing its nuclear and missile capabilities. Strong sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and military deterrence are all essential tools in this effort. Section 9. A world on edge: global implications of the standoff. The U.S. North Korea standoff has far-reaching implications for global security and stability. The Korean Peninsula is one of the most heavily militarized regions in the world, and any conflict there has the potential to escalate rapidly. A war on the Korean Peninsula would be devastating, resulting in massive casualties and widespread destruction. The use of nuclear weapons would have catastrophic consequences, not only for the Korean Peninsula, but for the entire world. The standoff also has economic implications. International sanctions imposed on North Korea have taken a toll on its economy, but they have also had an impact on neighboring countries, particularly China. The U.S. North Korea relationship is a reminder of the dangers of nuclear proliferation and the importance of diplomacy in resolving international disputes. The world cannot afford to ignore this volatile situation. Section 10. Looking ahead: can peace prevail on the Korean Peninsula? The future of U.S. North Korea relations remains uncertain. The two countries are locked in a cycle of mistrust and confrontation, with no easy solutions in sight. However, the pursuit of peace and denuclearization must remain the ultimate goal. Dialogue and diplomacy are essential, even if they are difficult and frustrating. Building trust and finding common ground will be crucial to making progress. The international community must present a united front, working together to pressure North Korea to abandon its nuclear ambitions. The humanitarian situation in North Korea also requires attention. The country faces chronic food shortages and a lack of basic necessities. Providing humanitarian assistance can help to improve the lives of ordinary North Koreans and build goodwill. The road to peace on the Korean peninsula will be long and arduous, but the stakes are too high to give up hope. The world must continue to strive for a peaceful resolution for the sake of the Korean people and for the security of us all.